8 years ago, I was in your shoes. I was sat down and shown all the options: insulation, heat pumps, hydrogen boilers, district heat. I was asked, what do people want? The terrible truth, I didn't know. I'd moved my whole family to a new job and I didn't have the answer. I was working at a not-for-profit innovation centre, so I did something you can't do, and I led the most detailed study of heat ever conducted. It cost millions and it involved thousands of households around the country. I found only 5% of us have low carbon heating, even though it's been around since the 70s. I also noticed that in the 70s, only a quarter of homes had central heating, and now practically everybody does. We put up with the cost and disruption because central heating was better than what we had, safer, cleaner, more convenient. I realised if low carbon heating was as good as or better than what we have, it would all be much easier. People would go low carbon because it was the best heating system on offer. Most of us put up with problems. It's hard to control our heating to get comfortable. We end up with drafts, damp, overheating. Could low carbon heat solve these problems? People are very different as well. They want their homes warm at different times. They prefer different temperatures. Sometimes they even have rows about the thermostat. I went back to work and told them what I'd found, but I still couldn't answer their question. Do people want heat pumps or hydrogen boilers? They asked. I said, they want whatever's best for them. They said best. Well, that depends. What networks do they have in their area? How many homes are there? How insulated are they? I said, you can't expect people to know that. If you buy a TV service, Sky, Virgin, Netflix, you care what you can watch and what it costs, not whether it comes down a cable or over the internet. Couldn't we make heat more like a mobile service? You pick your phone, text, minutes, data, depending on what you want to spend. Look at energy. We buy kilowatt hours. What are they? How many do we need? What will it cost? Will we even be warm? How are people supposed to know if they'd be more comfortable with a heat pump or a hydrogen boiler, never mind how much insulation they'll need? We just want a warm home, not a complex technical choice we don't understand. What if we could buy heat as a service like other services? We might buy warm hours, not kilowatt hours. A warm hour is just an hour where we're heating our home up. We pick the number we want, we get that for a fixed price. We want more, we buy another hour. Well, how would we know how many hours or what temperatures? Perhaps we could control our heat from our mobile phone using a smarter thermostat. Our controls could show us how many hours we'd use, what temperatures we liked, and we could buy that as a service plan for a fixed price. So how does that heat as a service get us to low carbon? Well, people care more about their experience than how it's delivered. If you can get comfy for a fair price, do we really care what box does the heating? When we replace our system, we wouldn't mind switching to a heat pump, a hydrogen boiler, or whatever, especially if it's better than what we had, easier to control, more comfortable, less damp. After all, if we enjoy a meal, we don't ask, what oven was this cooked in? I explained this to my wife and she smiled politely, but I could tell she really wasn't that interested. Then she tried it. She loved it, being able to control her heating more easily, pay a fixed price for the comfort she wanted. So rather than just ask people what they thought of the idea, we tried it out around the country, and people seemed to really like it. We sold it with a not-for-profit supplier owned by the council and with a British business who make heat pumps, hydrogen boilers, and district heat. People who experienced heat as a service were hundreds of times more open to low-carbon heating. They liked the idea of bundling a new low-carbon system into their plan so they could get the comfort they wanted, guaranteed, for a fixed price. Now, I know this might seem a bit out there, like email or Google did when they first came out. Some people will need to try this to get their head around it. After all, 24 years ago, Google hadn't launched and almost no one had email. Maybe in 24 years' time, people will buy the heat as a service. We'll pick the temperatures we want, our provider can recommend the best solution for us, and we can all go low carbon when we replace our boilers. There's a problem though. Some people can't afford a basic level of heating today, and tackling this fuel poverty is quite rightly a priority. But it's really hard to find people who are struggling and give them the help they need. If we sold heat as a service, we'd know who lived in homes that were expensive to heat, and we'd be able to find those who couldn't afford to pay and give them the support they so badly need. The Danish government recently launched Heat as a Service to help people get low carbon heating. Scotland has just 24 years to get to net zero. Perhaps it's worth finding out if we can do the same here, to make sure everyone can get the warmth they want without the carbon. Thanks very much for listening. I really look forward to your questions.